Hello everybody, I went ahead and just finally finished Ghost of Tsushima. I know I'm a bit late to this, and the reason for that, honestly, is just because when this game came out, I went really hard on it, and I kind of just burnt myself out. I had to take a break from it, play some other stuff before I could come back to it. So apologies that it took me a while to beat it and get the review out. Most of you have probably already played it by now. My total playthrough came in at about 58 hours total, so definitely a pretty big video game. It's no Persona 5 Royal that was like 130 hours or whatever the hell, but 58 hours, so pretty big game. I have at this moment done every single side thing except for, I believe I am missing one side quest, and there's like one lighthouse that isn't done and one camp that isn't cleared. So other than that, I've done basically everything in the entire game, and it took about 58 hours. So once I'm done with all of that, we could just say a nice round 60 hours for the platinum trophy. And all in all, solid video game. It's really weird playing this game after playing Last of Us 2 because they are so fundamentally different. This is a very video gamey video game, and Last of Us 2, which is so dark and drab and dreary and depressing and all of those other D words, it really tried to be more than a video game, more realistic, and honestly, it just kind of drained my psyche. If you saw my playthrough of it, then you'll know. And this, while it has very serious shit that happens, at the end of the day, it's just a lot more of a pleasant experience because it does feel very video gamey. And like, you know, I do these in pros and cons, and I don't have a script or anything written out. So we'll start off with the pros. First thing I have to say about this game is the environmental design and the lighting and the graphics when it comes to the environments is truly breathtaking. I have never been one of those nerds that's like, oh, I'm gonna pull up my photo mode and I'm gonna take a picture and share it on social media. Partly because I have no social media, but also because I just think that shit is stupid. However, this is the first game where I have ever had a slight compulsion to do so, because if you watch my playthrough or watch any of my streams, I can guarantee you I have said at least once an hour of playtime, God damn, this game is pretty. God damn, this game is beautiful. Because the environmental design is truly breathtaking. I mean, it's next level here. It is really good. It's mostly due to the phenomenal lighting work that's on display here, and it does this weird thing where it looks better than like real life. It looks like idealistic real life. The environments, like the most beautiful version of a real life environment, like that somebody would get in like a 1 in a million photograph, you know? That's what it's like to play this game constantly. It's just a treat for the eyes. However, the actual texture work, the faces, the clothing, stuff like that, the graphics are nothing special on that front. I watched a couple reviews where they said that like the faces look really good. The faces don't look really good in this game, especially after playing Last of Us 2. It's almost like this is like a generation behind. Obviously, Last of Us 2 is probably up there with the best looking video games of all time with Red Dead Redemption 2, especially on the character design front. But the texture work isn't bad here for graphic wise. However, the environments are next level. And speaking about graphics and performance, this game unfortunately is only at 30 FPS. On the PS4 Pro, you can choose between a resolution mode or a frame rate mode. I played the whole game on the frame rate mode just to have a constant 30, and it is a constant 30. A couple of the cutscenes early on in the game were like 15 FPS. It was very strange. But that was nothing on my end. That's actually just the cutscene, so I have no idea what's up with that. But overall, the actual gameplay is solid 30. I really wish there was a 60, obviously, but I'm sure we'll get that with the PS5. And one thing that I will say about performance-wise, that this game puts Last of Us 2 to shame with, is holy shit, dude. This is like I somehow like bought a game and it was like it had PS5 technology in the disc, dude. The load times in this game are so fast, it actually blows my mind. I have no idea how it is technologically possible to have load times as fast as they are in this game, while this game looks so good and it runs at a constant 30 FPS, no drops at all. I have no clue. I really genuinely do not know. There's some sort of magic being used here. They have harnessed PS5 SSD technology and somehow crammed it into this game, because it's crazy. I mean, to put it in perspective for you, if you're playing through The Last of Us 2 and you decide I'm gonna skip a cutscene, God forbid you decide I'm gonna skip a cutscene in The Last of Us 2, you are looking at a solid 2 or 3 minutes, sometimes maybe more, of load screen. This game, you're like, oh, I'm gonna fast travel all the way across the fucking map. You're looking at maybe 10 seconds at the most. It's just boom, boom, boom. If I were to click continue right now, it'd be under 15 seconds at the most. Just boom, gets you in. I have no idea how it does it. It's truly phenomenal. Very, very impressive on the load screen front. Like, Jesus, I don't know how they did it, but they did it. To continue on the pros, I felt that the combat, well, I played the game on hard, which is the hardest difficulty in the game. Unfortunately, when you beat it, you don't get an extra hard mode or anything like that. It just goes up to hard. I found the combat to be very easy, and I wish that there was a harder difficulty. I just felt like this game was far too easy, and it was actually to the point where I was actively gimping myself as I was playing, because I was like, yo, if I actually play this game and am switching stances all of the time, or I utilize stealth and I'm using ghost weapons and shit, this game is like laughably easy, like trivial difficulty level of easy, even on the hardest difficulty. So I was actually gimping myself, trying to do a full samurai playthrough, use no ghost weapons, do nothing. And I had a much better experience that way. It made the game a bit more challenging, but overall I think the game is very, very easy. But the combat is satisfying. It has a sort of like Arkham style combat where it has no lock on, which takes you a while to get used to. It feels very, very weird at first, but eventually you do get used to it. But it has no lock on system. Just like the Arkham style, you just push the stick towards who you want to attack, and people attack you from behind. You just press the block button or the counter button, and you'll go ahead and block their attack even if you're facing the other way. So it does feel a little Arkham-y. This is fine for the most part, except for when there is archers in the distance, which is the vast majority of the combat. There's going to be archers in the back line, right? And you don't want those archers shooting at you while you're fighting the melee guys, so you want to just run to the archer and kill the archer. Well, good luck with that, my dude, because Jin will be like targeted onto the melee guys in front of you, and even though you're trying to tell him to sprint at the archer to kill the archer, he is just not having it. He'll like slowly back walk towards them. It's really annoying when that happens, but eventually you'll just learn to just shoot the archers with your bow and not even fuck with anything else, because it's just really annoying when you're trying to run and melee the archers. And on top of that, well, I won't get into the negatives yet, but let's just say there are some other negatives with the combat. But overall, I really like the combat in the game. I wish there was a little bit more depth, because all it comes down to is changing between 4 different stances depending on which of the 4 enemy types you're fighting. I wish there was a little bit more to it than that, or we could just have it a little bit more difficult, because at the end of the game, it really did feel trivial with the difficulty. However, the duels in the game are always very good. I had a very pleasant time with every single one of the duels in the game. I wish that there were more. There's probably about 11 or 12 total duels in the game, and all of them are very, very fun. I just wish there was a little bit more, or a little bit more move variety that the enemies would have, because they do recycle moves. But by the end of the game, I was a little bit bored of the combat. I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, I didn't really play the game as a ghost, like sneaking around. But if you do, I found that the enemies are absolutely retarded when it comes to sneaking around. I had absolutely no issues on any of the mandatory sneak sections, and yes, there are many mandatory sneak sections. It just felt clinically easy for all of that. So if you're trying to get this as like a ninja or a stealth game, I don't think you're gonna have a good time. I think it's a lot better if you play it as like an action game. And then finally, for the positives, I'll just say that the main story is phenomenal. I really, really liked everything about the main story. The side quests, very surprisingly to me, were very enjoyable. I liked almost all of them. There were 3 that I didn't like, but other than that, I liked all of them. I liked the side characters' stories as well, and this can't really be understated, that this is the first Sony exclusive game in a long time that's had good side quests. I mean, God of War, Days Gone, Neo 2, Final Fantasy 7, like, you can go back. All of these games that are Sony exclusive that have side quests, they've all had really bad side quests. Like, that's been a constant with Sony games, is like their main story is great, but the side quests kind of suck ass and feel tacked on. And with a few exceptions, in like Final Fantasy 7, there's a couple good side quests. Same thing with God of War, the Valkyries are good side quests. But anyway, for the large part, Sony games have shitty side quests, but really good main quests. This game actually has very good side quests, so that should be noted. You can already hear from the music in the background. The sound design is phenomenal. Oftentimes you can know when an enemy is about to attack you and get ready for a counter based solely on the sound design, which is great. I love it. The music is phenomenal. The voice acting is very, very good. I played the game in English, so can't really comment on the Japanese voice acting, but I'm sure that's very good as well. Now let's move on to the negatives. The fucking camera is terrible in this game. It is terrible. Like, I complained a lot about Sekiro's camera. It's worse than Sekiro's camera by a lot. It is really fucking bad, the camera in this game, because they don't have vignetting. In case you don't know what that is, it's essentially if you're moving the camera and there is an obstacle, you know, your character is here, right? And this is the camera, and you move the camera here, and there is an obstacle in between the camera, this thing, and then the character. They don't have vignetting, which is where you'll see the outline of your character, even through the obstacle. They don't have that in this game. And in a perfect world, the camera would just zoom in, right, in front of the obstacle, but it does not do that. There will be many, many times where there are tree branches or shacks or something that are in the way of you seeing Jin, and there is no outline to know where Jin and the enemies are through that obstacle. They just did not program that for some reason, even though it's in all of these games like Monster Hunter and Sekiro and all of them. They didn't do that for this game. So there will be sections where you're panning the camera, right, in combat, and there will just be an obstacle that just goes right in front of the camera, and you are fucked. It's like if you were in a filmmaking class, right, and you're filming something in the hallway, and you're on your actor, right, and then some kid just walks in front of the fucking shot. And you're like, dude, like, hello, I'm trying to see my fucking actor here, and I just have this idiot walking in front. It's just like that. It's very frustrating when it happens, and it's gonna happen a lot. And also, because of the mandatory, like the automatic lock-on system with the combat, like I touched on earlier, it's really difficult to like actually work Jin to getting to the back line and fighting guys in the back line, specifically the archers. It's very, very difficult to do that because he just keeps locking on dudes. And God forbid, if there's any sort of incline, which there usually is, usually you'll be pushing up a mountain or something, up a hill, the archers will be on the top, and then the foot soldiers will be swarming you, right? So you want to push up that hill before you deal with the foot soldiers, because you don't want to be dodging around arrows and stuff, and some arrows aren't blockable either. So you don't want to be worrying about that. It's just a pain in the ass to get up that hill, man. Another negative that apparently I am the only human being on the planet to have. I don't know. But for me personally, and this is with, I've only played on the 1.4 update, so the day one update, and all of the other updates past that I have downloaded the moment that they were available. But this is after day one update. I have had more glitches and bugs in this game than I've had in the past 5 or 6 games that I've played. Just an absolutely absurd amount of bugs and glitches. You can go in any of my past streams if you don't believe me and just look at the footage. Crazy shit. I've had stuff where I'm in water, I try and do a standoff, and then I just instantly teleport under the ground and die. I've tried to go on a standoff when I was on a bridge. I'm like, man, this is gonna be sick. There's guys on the other side of the bridge. I'm on the bridge. I do a standoff. It teleports us under the bridge, like down in a ravine. I've had stuff where enemies just run and just jump over the ledge and just commit mass suicide for absolutely no reason. I've had things where my horse will not, good old Kage, will not come back to me. Like I will whistle and he just runs away. And then I'm like, dude, hello? I run a little bit, whistle, he spawns next to me, just runs away. Just tons and tons of glitches, people floating, people walking backwards as I'm about to fight them, walking up some rocks, and then I actually physically cannot get up the rocks and attack them, and I have to rely on my, this is before I had the bow, so I had to rely on my partner to kill them. All sorts of like really annoying bugs. I had tons of them, so I have no idea what that was all about, but I looked around, not a lot of people are saying that they're having glitches, so maybe, I don't know, I got some weird demonic cursed version of the game. I don't know. And then on top of that, the final bit of negative I'll say that, and this is a very subjective negative, is that and this is gonna sound stupid, but I don't like open world games. I don't like open world games because they all feel kind of samey to me, and this game definitely has a lot of that samey shit to it, where, oh, the map is like, it has fog on it, and you have to go and you have to clear a camp by killing all the bad guys at it, and then that'll unlock more of the map, and oh, there's all of these collectibles that'll augment your character and unlock new cosmetics, like all of that shit that you'll typically see in like a Ubisoft game or something like that. All of that open world shit is in this game. It's in full spades. If you're someone like me that doesn't like that type of stuff, it's in this game. The reason why I personally don't like it is because I have really bad ADHD, and I will be doing something, but if I see literally anything else that's like, oh, there's a fox and it needs you to follow it, then I'm realistically going to be diverting all of my attention to following that fox, and then something else will happen while I'm following the fox and I will go do that, and it's just like, it's just a million tangents, right? Keeping me from doing what I was initially supposed to do, but that's very subjective. That's just for me personally. And then I guess the final thing that I'll say that is also very subjective is this game does the Red Dead Redemption and the GTA, the Rockstar thing that I hate. I docked Red Dead Redemption 2, tons of points for it because it's really annoying. So I have to be fair. I have to talk about it with this game, and that is this game does the thing where it says, okay, we're going to start the quest here. You go there to start the quest. The characters talk for a little bit. You get a cutscene. Then you guys get on a horse. And the actual quest starts fucking 300 meters away. And you have to ride on your horse together just so you guys can have some dialogue while you're riding your horse to the actual objective. That shit fucking annoys me in a game. Because I don't want to just ride horses and talk, dude. I want to actually do the mission, right? If you're gonna just talk and ride horses, put it in a fucking cutscene or something. Don't make me ride the horse and shit. That's not intuitive gameplay. It's not something that's invigorating or exciting to play. It's just annoying to me. Red Dead Redemption 2 does this a lot as well. Tons of games do this, man. And it always annoys me. So I'm always gonna say it's a negative. Sorry, my alarm was going off. But like I said, that's a subjective thing. One thing I will say about that though is that this game, unlike Rockstar games, it does give you dialogue options. So most of the time when you're riding with somebody, you'll have a choice between two dialogue options. And since I've only played the game once, I can't tell you how different the two realistically are from what you actually say to each other, but it does give you dialogue options between two choices, so you can kind of shape the, the narrative as you're riding along with one another. And that does elevate it just a little bit more than like a Red Dead Redemption type of case, to where I am more okay with it, because at least then you're having me interact with the narrative in some form other than just riding the horse and listening to shit that could have just been a cutscene. So I will give the game props for that. But yeah, I mean, all in all, I think that this is a very solid video game. I think it's a great way to send off the PS4. The main quest line especially is, it is phenomenal, and it wraps up beautifully, and I honestly wouldn't change a thing about it. I think it is really, really good. The side stuff, it's just that. Side shit. It's this type of stuff that you'll see in literally any open world game. However, just because the setting of feudal Japan is so interesting and unexplored in this particular medium, and because the environmental design is so phenomenal, it elevates it higher than your other typical open world games. So similar to how a lot of people really like Breath of the Wild, because even though it does all that samey shit, they really like the world and the aesthetic and stuff like that. That all applies to Ghost of Tsushima. And all in all, I think that this is a very solid video game. I don't see myself replaying it at all. There's not a lot of replay value. I wish there was, like I said, a harder difficulty to go back and play through it. But it was a very enjoyable experience, and for me, I'd give it an 8 out of 10, which, in case you don't know my scale, a 5 out of 10 is an average game. It's right in the middle. 6 out of 10 is above average. 7 out of 10 is a good. 8 out of 10 is a great game. So I would say that Ghost of Tsushima is most definitely a great game. I think it is worthy of buying at a full $60 price tag. There's a lot of stuff to get out of it, especially if you want to do the side shit, or if you're just like me and you have ADHD and that's why you do all of the side shit, then this is a really good choice for you. So those are my final thoughts on Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah, I recommend it. good video game. Solid send off to the PS4. Very excited to see what Sucker Punch does next. Hopefully it's just something really different and crazy and wild, because I loved Infamous, but it was really cool to see them branch off and just do this seemingly randomly. So thank you everybody for watching. I do indeed appreciate it. Fantastic rest of your day. See all of you in the next video, or stream Maria. Bye bye.